Jody, I'll start off with you. We've seen, of course, a reaction from the former president, and in a way, this very much plays into the kind of grievance-driven narrative that he's embraced for a very long time.
Yes, Heidi, this is really Donald Trump's playbook. As you may recall, he said he was going to be arrested a week and a half ago, and he wasn't. But now he's saying the same kind of thing he did say when he claimed he was going to be arrested. He's saying it's a political witch hunt, and he's leveling blame at the district attorney in Manhattan, saying this is politically motivated. They're out to get him. They want to stop his campaign again for president, that he's the front runner. We're also hearing from supporters of Donald Trump saying the same thing, leveling a lot of criticism at the DA in Manhattan, saying this was a case that's politically motivated. It is, of course, alleging that he paid hush money to a porn star, Stormy Daniels, that he falsified documents in that payment.
Even his rival, Ron DeSantis, of the Republican Party, Jack, coming out with a tweet saying that the weaponization of the legal system to advance a political agenda turns the rule of law on its head, that it's un-American. How will this play out in his base?
Well, clearly, the former president is trying to take an approach with this to motivate his base. He is kind of leaning into this. His statement was very lengthy, going after Alvin Bragg, a litany of complaints about how he's been treated by Democrats. It is maybe something he sees as an opportunity to motivate his base. It does raise questions about any more persuadable voters, and it's notable that we saw generally a supportive statement of Trump by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, seeing as DeSantis is seen right now as maybe the top contender for the Republican nomination for president against Trump, maybe the second-tier person after Trump. It is, I think, an opportunity for anyone who doesn't know exactly how to play this to direct the attention to Bragg. DeSantis doesn't necessarily need to go after Trump. Other Republicans don't necessarily need to go after Trump. You're seeing a lot of pressure on Bragg to sort of direct their attention elsewhere.
There are other charges that are underway, and we know that with the previous impeachments that it ended up playing out quite favorably, right? Do we see this galvanizing not just his base, but potentially political support within the party?
Well, within the party, clearly the initial reaction is pretty supportive. I'm seeing statements in support of Trump from not just diehard Trump supporters, but really the mainstream Republican members. I saw one from Mario Diaz-Balart, essentially a leadership-aligned person. There was one from Kevin McCarthy that was very similar, even to what you heard from Ron DeSantis, Tom Tillis from North Carolina. Essentially, the reasoning that led to the impeachments, plural, failing on Trump is what you're seeing from the mainstream Republican lawmakers standing by him. Maybe if some of them hope that he doesn't succeed in winning a nomination going forward, they're not necessarily saying it outright. So there's still some solid support for Trump from Republican lawmakers.
So, Jody, how can we expect this to play out in the next few days when President Trump is arraigned by the district attorney's office, and when we get those specific charges, what could the picture look like?
Yeah, and you're right, Sherry, you're implicit in your question. We haven't even seen the charges yet. The indictment has not been sealed. This is all, according to people familiar, what we're seeing in terms of the indictment. But it will be sealed. Him showing up is the question. In his statement, interestingly, in Ron DeSantis, the Florida governor's statement, first of all, he didn't mention Donald Trump's name, which was interesting, but he said he would not extradite him from Florida. So that's interesting. We really don't know whether he would be made to show up. There's been talk that the Secret Service could not protect him adequately, and therefore he wouldn't necessarily have to show up in person. So we'll really have to see how that plays out. The other question is protests. When Donald Trump said a week and a half ago that he was going to be indicted that Tuesday, that didn't happen. He did call for people to protest, and there were some concern, and there was a lot of protection that went up around that Manhattan courthouse that still remains in case there were protests. So we're really going to have to see. But this indictment, I expect, will be sealed pretty quickly, and we will see what happens in the courthouse there tomorrow in Manhattan.